Today we'll discuss the object code generation of SIC. Before moving to SIC, let us see the object files generated by the transform assembly. This was the program we have discussed. Which will add two numbers. I hope you are remembering about the assembler directives, data declaration and all. Now we have to analyze the object code of this program generated by the turbo assembler. The last video we have discussed the compilation and this list file generation, etc. This was the object file generated by the assembler. Here we are interested in the addresses generated by the assembler. See, the first data item here is num1. Its address is 0000 and num2 it is 0001, the next byte. The next variable is sum, its address is 0002. Okay, then coming to the code segment, the address of the first instruction is 0000 and next instruction we have the address 0003. So these are the addresses assigned to the instruction and data at the time of translation. Then when you link some external libraries to this program, the entire addresses will be changed. That is a linking time address. Okay. Now you got a translation time address. When you are linking, you will get a link time address. Then it is not necessary that your program will be loaded to that exact address range, because the operating system will decide to which area your program should be loaded. So it is the work of the loader to arrange all these addresses according to the memory area assigned to your program. So at the loading time you will get another set of addresses. See, translation addresses, then it will be changed at the linking time. You are getting a link time addresses. Then these addresses will again change at the loading time. Okay. Then do we have any control of this address generation? Suppose the issue occurs when you are using some training kits. Okay, the programmers are allowed to store their program in a specific area of memory. At that time, you have to specify the addresses. Let us see how can we do that. In this program, your data got the addresses 000001, 0002. Okay. And here code is started address 0000, then 0003, 0005, like that. The first instruction took 3 bytes. Here the second instruction took only 2 bytes, like that. Okay. Then let us see, can we assign a specific address to the first instruction in the code segment? Then the subsequent addresses will be changed according to that. Is it possible? Let us check that. That is, we are directing the assembler the address of my code segment should start from this value. Okay, that is done by the assembler directive origin. See here, I have mentioned the first byte of my data segment should get the address 03000H, and first instruction in my code segment should get the address 1000H. That is an hexadecimal. Okay. Let us translate this and watch the list file. File name is address my pgm.asm. Okay, so y:/ tasm / tasm.exe switch -l. My file is address1.asm. Address -mypgm.asm, since those use 8-bit length file names, it is coming like that. Let us translate this and let us check the list file form. This is the list file. Okay, this is the list file. See, the data segment is started under the address 3000, and the first instruction in the code segment got the address 1000. That is, data segment started at the address 3000 and code segment started at the address 1000. So you can direct the assembler that at the time of translation your data segment should start at this location and your code segment should start at this particular location. Okay, and remember, it is not necessary that this address is fixed. Don't think like that. It should be changed at the time of linking, and your program and this means this instruction will get another set of addresses at the time of loading. Okay, these are the translation time addresses. And one more thing, and you don't think that you need a debugger to watch the output of the assembly language program. Okay, let us check one program, that is a natural number generation. Okay, natnum.exe. So it is asking how many natural numbers you want to generate. I am giving some 30. So 30, 1 to 30 will be generated. If I give some 10, it will generate 1 to 10. So it is not necessary we need a turbo debugger or any debugger to watch the output of an 8086 assembly language program. It can take input, it can print some output on the screen, but the program is a little bit big. Okay, I will show you the program. Okay, this will be the program. Okay, next we will move to the object code generation of SIC.